Welcome everyone to the new utilities for Revit 2021. We're excited to be here with you. I'm joined by Ismail Khalaf, who will be doing the presentation. We're not going to kick it off right away because we still have some people joining. So take a couple of minutes and grab a drink of water or a snack, and we will get started in approximately 3 minutes. Hello again, and for those of you who have just joined, we're going to give it a couple more minutes to let some other attendees get into the meeting. So hold tight, we'll be with you shortly. Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to IMAGINiT Utilities for Revit 2021, What's New? I'm joined by Ismail Khalaf. He's our technical expert who will be doing the presentation today. All attendees are in a listen-only mode, but you can communicate with the organizers through the Q&A. So if you do have a question throughout the presentation, go ahead and type it in on the right-hand side under questions. There's also a handout provided today that has a list of each of the Revit 2021 utilities and a description of what they do. We will be recording this presentation and distributing it to all registrants sometime next week, but you can also visit the IMAGINiT Resource Center and get the same recording later on this week. Ismail, you want to click on the next slide, please? So we wanted to mention this before we got started for the utilities licenses. The licenses expire after 12 months. So what we did is we wanted to make it easy for you to reauthorize those. So you'll get an alert about 7 to 10 days before that license expires, letting you know, hey, it's time to reauthorize your utilities. You can reuse the previous authorization code that you used last year. This will simplify the process for you. If for some reason you don't have that authorization code anymore, you can always contact IMAGINiT support and they can reissue the authorization code, and they can also help you with any questions you might have. The email that you will receive does have instructions in it, so it's pretty easy and straightforward. And later on next year, we're looking at making this an even more streamlined process to keep that license activated. And with that, I will turn it over to Ismail.
Thank you, Lisa. Welcome everybody. We'll be going through here a few slides and then eventually we'll jump into a live demo. Just kind of going through the agenda. If I can get my PowerPoint to work. There we go. Awesome. So we're going to go through the agenda, just a brief introduction, and we'll go through an overview of the Revit 2021 utilities, and then we'll get into what's new. And then, as we said, or as I said, we're just going to jump into a live demo here, and hopefully, things work out. And then what we'll do is we'll be taking some questions at the end. Just who am I? Esma Khalef, a senior application expert with IMAGINiT Technologies, the Building Solution Division, and I'm located in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Experience, before that, I've got a background in architecture, worked in residential and commercial, or residential and commercial projects. It taught Revit software for about 10 years at a post-secondary school, and been working with BIM since 2008 as a user, and then implementation roles since 2011. Getting into the utilities of or the utilities for Revit, we have about over 40 tools that we now offer under our IMAGINiT tab, and we'll go through that here in a little bit. And those tools are, they're meant or they're designed to save you time with automating repetitive tasks. Our development team, with conjunction of Autodesk experts or Autodesk Revit experts, users, users like you guys that, are tired of going through and doing the same thing or doing repetitive tasks. They come to us and they talk to us about this. And what we do is we work together on, coming up with these tools that allow not only the user that brings the idea up, but also other users around, Canada and the US to, benefit from these automation tools. Just a note that I wanted to bring up is the tools that we're talking about, they do not support Revit LT. That you can't load any third-party add-ins on that. And these tools do support workflows for architecture, structural, and MEP. And that's the tab there with most of our tools, or all of our tools. All right, so what I wanted to do is I just kind of wanted to go through and break them down into categories. So for BIM management, we have these multiple tools that would help you with, BIM management related tasks. I'm not going to go through every single one and what they do. However, I'll, pick the highlights, I guess, and we can talk about those. For example, in this case, we've got the journal reader or journal file reader. What that allows you to do is it allows you to go through and read a journal file from your Revit model, understanding where errors that you're having with your Revit model. And this also could happen, or you can use this as Revit is running or offline. Your family placement, it allows you to take, a standardized library of where your families are, and it would allow you to take that and load it into your Revit template or Revit project if necessary. Getting into renumbering features, I guess this is one of those modifying or editing options that typically every project goes through. We have the two that I would like to focus on this one is the room renumbering. Typically, with a design process, things happen and rooms have to get or need to get renumbered. It allows you to automate that with a few simple clicks, and as that happens, you might need to renumber some doors or elements that are in that room. So it gives you the flexibility and automation to do that, efficiently and quickly. Excel and MEP tools. So, I guess everybody, well, I've used it in the past, bringing in, an Excel workflow, either if you are adding revisions on sheets, or for example, one of the clients that I helped with a few weeks ago wanted to extract, coordinates, X and Y coordinates of columns that they're using on site for building purposes. You can definitely use the Excel, the Revit Excel link tool to extract that information. And on the MEP side, what I want to do, or what I want to highlight, is I want to highlight the adjust pipe tool, where what it allows you to do is, on the MEP or within Revit MEP, sometimes adding pipes and fittings and so on and so forth could be a little finicky. What the adjust pipe does is it allows you to align a lot of those pipes and fix out of the box Revit issues that you might deal with as you're adding those mechanical pipes or ducts or not ducts, sorry, conduits and so on and so forth. Data and parameter management, or viewing sheets, view sheet management. Again, a few simple tools that allows you to either duplicate sheets or views, or possibly line up views or viewports on a sheet. Data and parameter management. The awesome, or one of the cool tools that I like to talk about is the Translate. It uses Google Translate, and just as you're doing it, just make sure somebody reviews the Translate before you send it out to a client, or so on and so forth. And then other productivity tools, we have our support, which we've got a team of IMAGINiT users that are able to help you with any support related questions. Also, DWG checks, where we know our users out there, what they like to do is they like to import a lot of CAD files for X reason. It allows you to not only check for linked CAD files, but it also allows you to find out if you have any imported CAD files in your Revit file. All right, enough said about the tools that are already included up to this point with the utilities for Revit. Let's look at what's new and exciting. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to go through and talk a bit about some of the platform enhancements, I guess, if I look at some of the changes that we made to the ribbon and how we sort our tools. And then the 4 new additional tools that we've added to, or enhancements that we've added to our IMAGINiT tab is CAD block insert, where what it allows you to do is it takes, if your designers are designing in AutoCAD, you can link that layout into Revit, and what you can do is very quickly, with a few clicks, place Revit families where those AutoCAD blocks are located. We have one other tool is the project information sync, where also what it does is it allows you to review, or within a linked model situation, it allows you to review things like project information between the 4 or 3 different links that you have, and compare that information, but also be able to extract that information and bring it into your Revit model if necessary. The enhanced transfer project standards, think about it of the transfer project standards on steroids. It allows you to bring if you're transferring information, like for example, there are a few things that a out-of-the-box transfer project standard just doesn't do. This tool will allow you to do that, and we created this with the note of, or with the thinking of, some of our clients like to recreate templates on a yearly basis. Every time there's a new Revit version, they want to create a new template for that Revit version. So this will help you do a lot of that with a few clicks and settings that you can save for years to come. And our project cleaner is another easy way or automated way of cleaning projects before transferring them to clients, contractors, so on and so forth. You have the ability of cleaning model views, sheets, materials, groups, and many more. And we'll go through that here live in a few seconds. So just kind of wanted to go through a few views or a few kind of visuals of the changes. So before we had, most of our tools laid out in our Revit. What we've done for this release is you can see a lot of drop downs, and what we did is we combined these tools with groups basically. So and we'll go through this in a few seconds. So that's kind of more combined. So you'll probably have to get a little more familiar with the drop downs and what's included in there. But we'll look at other ways of understanding what's included in these drop downs and how to customize it if you would like to customize it for your users. The Insert CAD block, you'll find that under the IMAGINiT tab in the family placement location. And if you click on the drop down arrow, you'll find that CAD block insert tool there. And then as you click on it, you should be expecting something like what you see over here with that dialog box right there. Getting it into the project information sync. This is the order of how I'll be going through and kind of presenting or going through the live demo here. The project information sync, you'll find that under the parameters tool. And then if you click on the drop down menu there, you'll find that the last option or the last tool within that group of tools. And as you click on that, you'll find a dialog box similar to what you see here, and what it and it gives you the ability to go through and start using those tools. And we'll go through that here in a bit. Enhanced transfer project standards. You're going to find that in the ribbon. It's its own tool, and as I mentioned, it's transfer project standards on steroids. And once you click on it, you will be expecting a dialog box similar to what you see right here. And if I click again, the project cleaner tool, you'll find that under cleanup. So it's under the cleanup group, and the second tool down in the list, and you'll be expecting to see a dialog box similar to what we see here. So just kind of wanted to do that, and hopefully, having a visual representation of where these tools are would help you kind of remember where they are and go from there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be brave and jump in and do a live demo. All right, let's jump to Revit. Okay. So, so the first tool that we're going to go through is the Insert CAD CAD block, or CAD block insert. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Open tab, and if I just go back to CAD block insert, I'm going to click on this this file that I created for this presentation or demo. So in this file, you notice there's not a lot of information. What I did is I just kind of went through and preloaded a few families, just to help with the inserting of the families in this file. So the first step that I'm going to do is I'm going to link in an AutoCAD file. Again, as I mentioned, depending on the workflow that you're using in your office, you might have some designers that are still using AutoCAD for space layouts, or if you're thinking about it from a interior design perspective, they might be still using that for space planning, so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link in this AutoCAD file, and this AutoCAD file has, looking through the preview there, it's got a few workstations that are laid out. Just going to bring it black and white, and I'm going to click on Open to bring it in. And I have the layout right here. So what I'm going to do is just very quickly kind of go through and clean it up. just kind of eliminate some of these things that I don't want to see. So I'm just going to hide a whole bunch of these names and so on and so forth. But also what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the link, right click on it, go to override graphics and view elements. And the reason why I want to halftone it is I just want it to, as I bring the other family or as I insert the families in the right location, I want it to kind of go in and just be a little bit more visual. You'll be able to see the difference there. So under the IMAGINiT tab, if I click on the IMAGINiT tab there, as I mentioned, you've got your tools that are there. Now, if you want to go through and further customize this, and maybe I should have talked about this slightly before we get into this demo, or this file here. But if you want to go ahead and customize, what you want to see, what do you want to have on the left and the right, or so on and so forth, what you can do is you can click on the utilities option right here, and it will give you the ability to select or modify what goes into which column. So column 1 is going to be on the left, column 9 is way at the right there. So you have the ability of, as I mentioned, customizing what you want to see in which column. Also, if you want to go through and hide a few things, like for example, if I decide to go in and hide support, I can just right click on it and click on hide utility, and then it will hide it. I'm not going to hide it at this point, but once you hide it, it will live in this area right here. So as I mentioned, you'll have the ability to customize it and share this file with either multiple users if you're on the administration side, or what you can do is you can customize it for yourself for personal preference and so on and so forth. So once you have that change done, you can click on save, and then it saves that new layout. Now, one thing to keep in mind is once you save the new customizations that you've done to the placement of the tools, you have to close Revit and relaunch it, and then what it will do is eventually it will go ahead with the settings that you've applied. So keep that in mind as you do this. Getting back to the CAD block insert tool. So once I have the AutoCAD layout there, I can go through and start adding files or replacing the blocks with Revit families. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the place or family placement option, and then I'm going to click on CAD block insert. And this dialog box shows up here. Let me just kind of put it over here so you can see what's happening, what will happen here once we start adding some stuff. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace all these chairs that are here. These are as I mentioned, AutoCAD blocks. So I'm going to select that chair option. So that's the block that I'm selecting. And then within that block, you'll have different categories, Revit categories that you want to match that block with. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the furniture category, just because this is a furniture item. So I'm just going to click on the furniture category there. Click on the appropriate family. So in this case, it's the chair task arms. So it has arms and so on and so forth. So I'm going to click on that. And then if you have multiple types of this family, you'll find them in this location. In this case, I don't have types. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and click on the type that comes with the family. And what I want to do at for this first kind of attempt is I'm going to go ahead. Let me just double check one thing here. I'm just going to remove this information, and I'll talk about these options here in a second. Let me just kind of put 0, 0 there. And then I'm going to insert the family the way it is. So typically, if you're bringing this into a new file, and you click on insert, notice how it just places those families right there instantly. But if you don't go through, and a few things to kind of keep in mind here is if your AutoCAD block library isn't matching insertion points or so on and so forth with your Revit family library, what you're going to do is you're going to have a result like this, where the block is still going to be inserted, but you'd have to go in and manually kind of, you can select all of them, I guess, and This is probably not going to work, but we'll give it a try. No, that's not going to work. So you can select one and just kind of rotate it, and move it into location. So you can do that, for each family. Now, what it's doing is it's saving you the headache of actually, going to the architectural tab, clicking on, components and place a component and placing those components. It's doing the placing for you. However, you might have to go in and actually, modify the component to match what the layout is. Now, if you don't want to do that, what we've done is we've added a few tools. Let me just kind of go a few undos. All right. So there is an option within that tool. So if I go to the IMAGINiT tab, click on again, and then click on CAD block insert. Within the CAD block insert, if I select the chair block, again, the properties here are matching what I want it to do. If I click on block placement settings, this other dialog box pops up here, and what it does is it allows you to control how you want to place the new family. So if there's a rotation angle involved, if there's an X axis involved, an offset for the X axis or the Y axis, so it allows you to go through and edit these settings first before you place the block there. So if I go in and type negative 90 degrees, and again, depending on if it's a negative number or a positive number, what it does is it rotates it in a certain clockwise or counterclockwise. And then for my Y value, what I'm going to do, my Y-axis value, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go negative 12. How do I know these numbers? I just tested this before the session, and those are the numbers that I came up with, and it would help with placing them in the right location. So obviously there's some work that you'd have to do if your AutoCAD block or AutoCAD insertion point for your block does not match your Revit base point or insertion point of your family. So there's that work there that you need to do. For the units, just make sure that you're matching the units of your Revit file. So if it's millimeters or meters, go ahead and do that. If it's feet and inches, you have the ability to choose the different, units there. And if I click on apply here, so okay, so make sure that you don't put the inches sign over there. It's just looking for numbers. Got that. And then if I click on the insert button, there we go. So now these families are in the location that you need them. Again, I'll just do this one more time, just very quickly. If I click on CAD block insert, and what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to click on the desks. So again, it's a furniture category. The desk, again, what type of desk it is. I'm just going to choose this family type, and then I will choose a type. And for this type, I'm going to go with the last type that I created, just to kind of match the layout that what we have here. And again, just to place this in the right location, I'm going to click on the block placement settings, and I already have that information in here. It's going to, once you place it once, it will keep it there, as long as you're using the same information, I guess, and we can go from there. So if I click on insert and those, so as you can see, very, very quickly, what I've done is I'm starting to populate my my AutoCAD layout with basically with 3D or Revit families right there. So that's kind of it for and there's just to kind of keep in mind that you'd have to go in and load these families in if they're not part of your Revit model, because it's basically looking at those families that are included in your Revit file there. So that's basically the CAD block insert tool. let's jump to the next one. So I'm going to close this, and our next one is going to be the project information sync. So if I click on the project information sync, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the part of the structural engineer for this this exercise here. So I'm going to click on the structural engineer file or the structural file and just basically click on open, give it a few seconds, and it will open. So the idea here is, typically the architectural consultant goes through, and as the generator of the file, they go through and they add in a whole bunch of information under project information. And once that file is ready, that file is shared with the other consultants, MEP consultant, the structural consultant, and as the structural consultant, instead of going through and adding information into redoing the project information part and trying to match it as much as possible with what the architectural consultant went through and did, what I can do is I can very easily take that information, compare what I have with what the architectural folks have, and basically make a swap if necessary. So in this case, if I just go to Manage and click on Project Information, notice that I have, I haven't filled out any of the building name, organization description, so on and so forth. And once I get down to some of this information here, maybe I'll just remove some of this here, and I can do it through there. And yeah, so I'll do that and then click on OK. And then under the IMAGINiT tab, if I click on the parameters group of tools here and click on the project information sync. So notice over here, if I just kind of make this slightly bigger, notice over here, this is the model that I'm in. So I'm in the structural model. It's showing me the information that, or the, the type, the parameter names and the values that are there, okay? And then on this end right here, it's identifying the two different links that I have. So in this case, I've linked the architectural model and the MEP model into the structural model. And what it's doing is it's identifying the information that is in these files right here. So the project information, notice over here, the architectural model is pretty much complete. It's got, its own project number, so on and so forth. So it's got all that information there. And then notice over here with the MEP model, there's some information missing, but you have the ability to go through and compare what you have with them. Or what you can do is you can click on this highlight project information difference option, and what it does is it highlights what is different between the different links. So and then right here you can basically either have a conversation with the consultants, or what you can do just choose one and basically move ahead with it, because obviously you probably want to use the architecture because that's where a lot of the information is coming from depending on the project. So in this case, what I'm going to do is by selecting or highlighting the models up here, what it's doing is it's basically telling the project information sync tool that this is the model that I want to use to extract the information from. So in this case, I'm using the architectural model, or highlighted the architectural model. So that's the model that I want to sync the architectural parameters or project information parameters to my structural model right there. So down at the bottom here, I have the sync tool current project. So if I click on that, this other dialog box shows up. Now I can expand it. And then what it does is it goes through and it's kind of highlighting or everything that I want to select. I have it here. And it's just basically going through and these are the parameters and the values that I'll be bringing in. Now you have the ability here on unchecking and checking things that you want to bring in, or if you don't want to override the project number, you probably don't want that. So I'm just going to uncheck that and keep the structural project number, for example. In this case, once I have this, I'm going to click on the sync tool. And once I click on that, it's basically telling me that parameters that are synced are 10, and here are the parameters that are there. And then I didn't have any errors, luckily. So typically, if you have any errors, you'll find the errors down here too. But in this case, if I click on close, go back to the Manage tab, click on project information again, notice how what it did is it copied that information from the architectural model to my model right here. And again, it placed the address, it placed the information up there. This becomes, very helpful if you've got multiple models on the architectural side. You want to enter the information once and make sure that you're, pushing it out to all the models. Or, if you want to have the same information on your title blocks, as the architect, you can go in and add that information in your project information, and then as you share the model, simple instructions to your consultants team, and then what they can do is they can extract that information and go from there. So that would be our project information sync. So if I close this model, actually, in fact, yeah, I'll close this model and open the architectural model here. And I'm just going to go and open it. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this next topic is going to be about the enhanced transfer project standards. Let me just make sure that we're good on time. Yes, we are. Okay. So enhanced project standards or transfer project standards. So the way that this works is again, there's a few things that you have to set up here, and once it's set up, it becomes a seamless transition. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open a new template. In fact, you know what? I don't need to open this, so I'm just going to close that, and then I'm just going to click New. And I'm going to click on Import Architectural Template or Imperial Architectural Template. And then what I want to do is I'm just going to open it as a template. So you have the ability of transferring the information to a project or to a template. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the template here just to go through and show the logic behind updating or starting with a fresh template every year, depending on the versions that you're at, and making that happen. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I've got this new template open, and if I go to, for example, views and go to view templates, which is one of the things that we typically do, depending on how advanced you are with Revit, is you go through and you create your own templates that control the way that you see information in your views. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the IMAGINiT tab, click on the Enhanced Transfer Project Standards. This dialog box is going to pop up. If I click on Browse, for example, and what I can do is I can choose an older template or an older project that I've used and extracted, or that project is a standard project, or that's the template that the centralized template that everybody uses within a firm, or so on and so forth. So once I have that, I've selected that. Now, what you'd have to do is you need to create your new your next or new action list. So I've created these myself. So what I want to do is I'm just going to skip this step, and I'm actually going to create it from scratch, so you have like an understanding of how this is created. So if I click on New Action List, I have a few options here that I can pick for my, the different actions that I want to bring or transfer to this template. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose number 1, which is the Transfer Project Standards. Once I have that, you can change the name if necessary, if you want to add the Revit version and so on and so forth there, you can do that. Or, if you have a naming standard that you want to go ahead with and do that, which is totally fine. Now, in this case, I'm just going to check none here and go through and, some of the typical things that an out-of-the-box transfer project standards does not do. The last time I checked was things like sections. So let me just kind of go to find section tags, elevation tags. So if I go up to, elevation tags, where are they? A few things, these are things that, out of the box or elevation types. These are things that, a typical transfer project standards, the out of the box one doesn't bring that information in. Just to kind of make this a little more, I'm just going to bring in dimension types. So you see all the information that a transfer project standards does, but also more information to that. And that's why I call it the transfer project standards on steroids here. So selecting a whole bunch of things here. Just for the simplicity of this, I'm just going to click check everything, and then click on save. And what I did is I saved this as a as an action for the data to be transferred here. So if I click on new action item, now I have the ability to go in and create another one. So let's say copy view templates, for example. I'm going to use this. You can use a wildcard where it's picking up everything, or if there are view templates that are no longer necessary for you to bring to your new template that you're trying to create, what you can do is you can select on the view templates here and check the ones that you want to bring in or not. Now, if that's not necessary and all the view templates that you had in the old template are still effective for the new Revit version, what you can do is you just kind of go with the wildcard here. You can type in information just to kind of extract some of the templates, the view templates, or keep it as that nice kind of star there. And what it will do is it just kind of brings everything in from the older version. So I'm going to do those. So, and the way that this works is it's going to go with a sequence. So first it's going to start with the transfer project standards, and then it's going to go through and copy the view templates. Once I have this done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this setting. If I click on save, I'm just going to call this test 3, and click on save. And I am going to close this. And notice how I have them right here. So at this point, if you need to, like if you're doing this on multiple projects, or you set these up before and you don't want to reset up the settings for your action lists, what you can do is you can go to open action list. You can find where you save the XML file, select the XML file, and import that information in. Or if you want to go through and modify some of this information, you can click on, select the action item, click on modify selection, and then you're back into the modified, the setting up of the actions with different permissions and or settings that you're putting in there. Once I have this done, I can click on the transfer, button, and it's going to go through and do some thinking because it's transferring a lot of that information from the older template to this template. Give it a few seconds there. A few more seconds, hopefully it doesn't crash. Shouldn't crash. Okay, there we go. So transfer completed. It basically says that it ran it and it ran successfully, and then it ran the copy view templates, and also that ran successfully. So if I click on the OK button here, and just kind of very quickly to go and check, if I click on the View tab, click on View Templates, go to Manage View Templates, notice over here how it brought all those view templates from the file that I chose. It brought those view templates in. So it basically took that information, brought it in, and now I have them in this new template file. All right, so that's kind of it for the enhanced project standards. And again, depending on the situation or depending on what you're trying to achieve, you can, as I mentioned, go ahead and select different elements that you're trying to bring and go from there. The last tool that I'll be going through here before we open it up for questions is, so let me just close this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open the architectural file, detach it from Central. So this is very important for this next tool to work, the Project Cleaner tool. You have to detach it from Central, because really what you're doing is it's going through and you're deleting things like views and so on and so forth from your your project. So the idea behind this is doing a quick cleanup. If I click on a 3D view and go to the IMAGINiT tab, the idea behind this tool is if you're doing a quick cleanup, or you need to do a cleanup, either if you're rebuilding a Central on a monthly basis or every 1,000 saves, depending on what comes first, or if you're cleaning a Revit file to transfer it to send it to a consultant or a contractor for X reasons. So if I click on the cleanup option here and click on Project Cleaner, give this a few seconds, it pops up. And the way that this kind of works is depending on the tools that you select or the content type. So if I click on floor plans, for example, notice over here how I get a preview of all the floor plans that are in my model. So I can select individually, or I can just basically click on the top here, and what it does is it basically selects all the views that are in my project. Or what I can do is I can select multiple elements here, and then within each content type, I can select the different views that I want to delete, and go from there. So in this case, if I decide to, I'll start with the floor plans here. What I want to do is I'm going to select everything, decide to keep the site plan, for example, but I want to delete everything else. I have the ability of doing that. And then if I go into 3D views, for example, and maybe select a few of these views and delete these views here. Now, if you find yourself doing the same thing over and over again, just due to a template that either has extra views or whatever the case is, what you can do is you can save what you have here as a default. So you can do it once, go and select your elevations, delete your internal used elevations, or maybe all of your elevations, so on and so forth. And what you can do is you can save what you have checked here, and also the categories or the views that you have checked here. You could save that as a default setting. So if I saved it, I've saved these views as a default setting. So which means that if I go in and uncheck all of this, and then I say revert settings, it will highlight all the settings that I previously saved as defaults. And what I can do at this point is I can click on the clean option or the clean button here, and what it's doing is it's going to go through and well, before it goes through, it's giving you this nice warning telling you that these views are permanently going to be removed from your project. Do you wish to continue? That's the no point of return, I guess, right here. So if you click on yes, you got to be very sure that that's what you want to do. And in fact, this is a detached copy, so I'm just going to click yes. I click on yes, it's going to think, and let's give it a few seconds because it's probably going through and deleting a whole bunch of views. And notice under floor plans, very quickly, just a visual check just to ensure that it worked. Under floor plans, I go to the site category, and I only have my site plan here. If I go to 3D views, there's still a lot of them there, but I deleted a bunch, and can't remember which ones that I deleted, but very quickly you can look at the floor plan here and the floor plan section, and you'll see the the views being deleted. Now, other things that I kind of want to go through and look at, and just kind of look at, you have the ability of deleting legends, or looking at some of the legends that you have here, and if you need to remove those before or clean those up before sending it out, to any of your consultants or contractors. You have your sections, sheets. You can remove all of that by just selecting either selecting everything or saving settings as default with a preset of views that you want to go in and remove your shared parameters, detail model groups and detail groups. This is a good example of kind of keeping your file performance okay, and making sure that your size, your model size is healthy. So it's a good, easy way of going through and changing or cleaning this up on a guess monthly basis or every 1,000 saves or whatever you have as a best practice internally. And then just basically go to save as, and you save the project, and that's going to be your clean project. You transfer that and it's gone to your consultant. Those are the tools, the new enhancements of Revit utilities or utilities for Revit 2021. Let me just kind of go back to my PowerPoint here. Click on this, and Lisa?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much. That was a great presentation. So let's take a look at some of the questions. And before we go on to that, I do want to remind everybody that you can find a lot of information about the utilities, including videos on each of the utilities and how they work in the Resource Center. I've added the link there. So feel free to venture out to the Resource Center. That's also where this recording will reside. It usually ends up in the Resource Center well before the email with the link comes out, so you can always check back maybe in a couple days to see if it's there. Otherwise, you will see the email. Do you have a slide after this, Esmail?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So you can, if you are an Autodesk subscriber with IMAGINiT, the utilities are free to use. So you can just download them. There's a couple of links in here. If you don't currently subscribe to your Autodesk products with IMAGINiT, they're still available to purchase. So you can always do that, as well as upgrade to the newest version. But again, if you are a subscription client currently, feel free to download the new utilities because they are available now.